Welcome to episode 55 of our board gaming podcast, The Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm Detty, a man. Hi, guys.
Hi, I think. Not sure.
Sorry.
I was actually thinking, it's like, wow, you do a great job of keeping every intro really unique. How do you have the energy to do that? And then that happens.
Well, move. It's getting too chaotic to stop and think. We have to keep moving. Everything has picked up a notch. Before we started recording, you said I still don't remember what scenario we did. Does this ring a bell?
Nah.
Okay, good.
It's been a long day.
Okay. Your memory is shocking.
It's
that's
not.
okay.
It's actually really good, but it's what I choose to use it on.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like a hard drive. It doesn't remember everything. It remembers the stuff that you want it to.
Look, okay, we'll go with that. Definitely, unless you get hit by a virus or something like that, right?
That's true.
So on today's episode, guys, we're going to cover scenario 51, which I know means nothing to you because you're bad with scenario numbers, but it's Orphan's Hall.
That does ring a bell.
Does ring a bell. All right, so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to cover the meteor.
I think it's coming back to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We're going to cover a little bit about the meteor because this is the first scenario that I've had it, and I've dubbed it the Deteor. I just swapped the M and put the D in there.
It's not funny when you explain it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So the Deteor, and then we're going to have a little amDirt PSA. And I have a bonus thing at the end, depending on time. If not, I'll save it for next week. All right.
Sounds good. I'm excited to learn about this scenario we did and hear all about it.
Glad to have you here, guys. It's special guest. So, our road event for this week. Do you remember that?
Oh, look, honestly, I only just barely remember the scenario. I'm not sure that. I know which road event it wasn't.
Okay. That's
there was one.
That's really accurate. One
specific one that I was hoping for that one of our kind community members pointed out would help me out of my pickle. So I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, hang on. No, I do.
Oh, let me just get the number out there. So we did a summer road event 39. I'll have to announce that.
Is this the Savast
dude? Go into it. No, it is not. This was a certain mayor.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Which when Fortilla was reading it out was very ominously like, I don't know, for some reason in my head I was under the impression we had a traitor in our midst or something. It kind of, I don't know, something we've done recently. Oh, it's actually a totally different game. Where there was a traitor and it was kind of like, and it kind of threw us off a little bit. And I, for some reason, transferred that energy and that thought process into our Frosthaven game. And then thought that, because the way it's set up with Mayor Sather was kind of like dodgy and it was kind of ominous. And then it was like, surprise. And it was like, yeah. And you get to choose what do you want to do? Do you want to take Mayor Sather back to Frosthaven and have a little big party? Or do you want to take her on an adventure?
And what an adventure. Like, if you did these things in real life, you would be able to just sit in a room for the rest of your life and be like, I'm content.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Wasn't it things like riding a polar bear and like...
Polar bear, ride through the mountains. We go spearfishing for piranha pigs, like whiny. We surf river rapids on a sheet of ice. And yeah, we got a little bit banged up because we're hardcore like that. That's where what do you call them? Thrill seekers or daredevils? We're daredevils. Right. We're out there doing all the dangerous stuff. And as a result of what we did, we copped a little bit of a bashing, and it just meant that the next scenario everyone starts with 1 damage, which is nearly 10% of my health, and we also gained 3 morale, which is very exciting. I think we were just dying for a little bit more morale.
Over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Over the moon.
So that was the road event. We had our... Now, I'm just going to point something out to you and also just for the camera and everything like that. I've just slightly changed my desk setup and everything around here, and it's throwing me off just slightly because I'm so used to looking in different directions, and this is really cool, and I like the setup that I've done, but it's just taking me a second to get used to where everything's positioned. So apologies for that.
You don't have to break down the fourth wall. People are going to know that things are being recorded.
Oh, I think they were recording a podcast and, planning it and all that kind of stuff, not just two of us sitting down recording with a hidden camera.
Chuck a camera. Exactly. Hidden recorder, hidden camera, just, record our life.
Just creepy. So scenario 51, Orphan's Hall. Okay, so following on from last week's episode with scenario 43, we find ourselves at scenario 51. Essentially, we tried to explain to Crane our conundrum with force links and the PQ, but he wasn't listening. And he said,
just very devout, right? We've got to get back to church.
He was like, yeah, you don't understand. It's a force link. Like, go in, blah, blah, blah. And we said like this, and then we insta-gibbed and we died. And then we said, oh, well, and we headed back to Frosthaven to throw a few coins at the church donation box and to retire the shackles. Then we headed back to a very cranky Crane who was still there when we left. And he was just like, what the hell was all that about? And we said, never mind, let's go. And he said, okay, cool, let's do this. And we said, wait, what are we doing again? So we had to have the explanation because we didn't hear it the first time when we died, right? Last week.
That's right. And he was like, what happened to that real emo dude that you had with you? They used to cut themselves. And we're like, oh, no. We've got this rock dude instead. He's Johnny Flame On.
He's met the rock dude, though.
Yeah, that's true. He's like, hey, is that Bob? You're like, no, it's not.
It's not. Actually, I put it in Discord to come up with a name quickly while I was writing my sheet. And Iron Winey has he was the only one, but he responded with a meme of Dr. Evil going liquid hot magma. And he said, that's how I have to say it. So every time I say the character's name is liquid hot magma. Okay?
Okay. So don't ask your character's name anymore.
No, because it's very tiring to say it. So we had machinery everywhere. And it looked like something out of the X-Men cartoons with like the Sentinel factory in my head. I don't know if you remember any of that.
Yeah.
And we meet the Terminator who goes by the Orphan, who apparently is the leader of the Unfettered. And through this part machine, part man, we can actually disable the entire Unfettered army. But of course, between him and us, there's an actual army. And then Crane goes all Q branch on us and combines multiple core charges into a few mini nukes, which is kind of reminiscent to the one that we did before, 43. He gave us a bit of cardboard, a token. He goes, you'll know when to use this. When the time is right, you just flip this over. Flip this over. So the final paragraph, Gaz, of the actual flavor, right, of this scenario, it actually said, you'll want to trigger it when the fight gets to its absolute worst, because if you miss your chance, there is no way out. Is this similar to, are we now getting to the point where we're reading into the flavor there? Because it just sounds like we've only got one and we have to wait till the absolute worst. So what is defined as the absolute worst as to when to use it?
Well, you don't know, right? Because you could
never
have
use
the
it.
word. Yeah, that's right. It's like your new pair of rollerblades. You're just waiting for that moment. You don't want to get it ruined.
No.
I don't want to ruin this nuke on like not the worst, on just pretty bad.
But because you and I have had these chats regarding some of the previous ones with flavor, don't kill these guys, don't do this, don't do this. This one's basically saying only use this during the absolute worst. Yeah. So based on our don't trust the flavor, I mean, we didn't. So I guess that's something we've learned. We've overcome it.
Yeah. And I mean, it came up in conversation quite a lot. So, I mean, you're going to go into the scenario rules and stuff, but these nukes are one use only and they do a fair chunk of damage. Like, they kill everything. So we were kind of like needing to use them to help us clear, but also had this idea that there might be something at the end that we need to use this, because one of the objectives was to collapse a door. So there was that, hey, someone's going to need to hold on to this. We can't all blow these in the first room. So
as much as we did. A little bit, kind of.
We did pretty well.
Yeah,
like we held out a little bit.
The scenario goal for scenario 51 is the scenario is complete when all characters occupy the 8A tile, and no monsters also occupy said tile, and door 2 has been collapsed. At the end of that round, we read a thing. The scenario effect is all characters will add 2 -1s to their attack modifier deck. Which I'm sure most of us, except for Mark, are currently doing, even though I do have that perk, but I'm a little baby meteor, so, I haven't got that one yet. Not until I thin everything else out first. Actually, what's really funny about that is one of the perks, because I took the 3 perker and then I took remove 2 -1s from your deck and remove a -2 from your deck. And then because I didn't take the special scenario rules one, it added 2 -1s back into my deck. So it was just annoying. Special rules. Tokens on mats, like last scenario. Everyone has 1. But this time they represent jamming explosives. So any character can forego a top action to set off one of their explosives. And if this occurs, you remove the explosive or the token and kill all enemies within range 2 and destroy all obstacles with at least 1 hex in range 2 of them. If any character becomes exhausted while not occupying tile 8A, the scenario is lost, which is really shades of scenario 45, the kill the ice thing and go back to the boat, which already sets a little bit of a scariness to it.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those, okay, so we need to get here and we need to not die. I mean, it's an escape one, but it seems to be a more hectic escape one.
Yeah, because at least with escaping, you can, once you find it, bolt to it, and at the end of your turn, you escape.
Yeah.
Whereas this, we've got to be in a room with no monsters, and we're assuming it's going to be long, and you got to get to it, etc. So the challenge cards, we had, there's a third one that we didn't pick. I haven't fished it out. But the ones we did pick were Shared Pain. Each time any enemy causes a character to suffer damage, another character suffers 1 damage. This was messed up. This was probably one of the worst ones we could have brought to this.
We didn't know.
No, we didn't.
In hindsight,
we didn't know.
We didn't know.
The other one, which was also pretty bad for this, was Dense Fog. All characters' move abilities of value 4 or greater are reduced by 1. This was also a terrible challenge for this.
Yeah,
we didn't know.
We did not know. Well, we probably could have guessed this one considering it's the escape one, but I'm sure the other one was way worse.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. So we'll just go with we made the right choice.
Correct.
We could have only picked 1 or none, but, you want a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, that's it. Gotta have some spice.
The pets we brought with us this week was What Dog, the Black Imp, and Wart. Do we have a funny way of saying Wart?
I think you just did it.
Nice. What's wrong? That was my normal voice. And Wart, the Lightning Eel. Monster combinations, we have Ancient Artillery, which I'll now refer to as AA. Ruined Machines, Flaming Blade Spinners, otherwise known as Beyblades, and Steel Automatons. Well, no, I had this. I already knew how to say this.
Steel Wolves.
No, Steel
Wolves.
Automatons. We'll go with that. That sounded so Aussie. All right.
Yeah, I know you really did, didn't you?
Automatons. All right.
Okay, Crocodile Dundee.
So the first room set up, we had a narrow corridor with 2 Steel Automatons. Fuck, I can't say anything else for that now. And 2 AAs on a door. All right. What were your initial thoughts, guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, we spent about 10 minutes trying to work out how we were going to use a bomb to kill the 4 monsters. Unfortunately, the problem was that we needed to move 5 spaces. We were getting -1 with a jump, and only me and Phil have jump. I think the plan looked at a way of Phil using one of his cards to like turbo charge someone forward 6 spaces, which would have been enough. But the only person that could do that was me, because I was the only one with jump boots, because the move is on his turn. And then they would have to get to their turn, but he was also then going to go late, which meant that if anything, it was just a whole bunch of, hey, this is a plan. Now let's go through every step of the way and work out why it doesn't work. And in the end,
that's literally what we did.
Yeah.
It was like, can you use your bomb, Daddy, if I grant you movement? I'm like, I can't jump. Okay, cool. We'll rule that out. Next person, can we do this? It was such a puzzle.
Yeah, I think the key thing was that we had this lure of, okay, if someone can get to this square on their turn very quickly, they can blow up all 4 monsters.
Yeah.
Because we had the 2 Steel Wolves there. Like, they've got heaps of HP, right?
Yeah.
So that's, 17 I think they've got, and 3 shields. So, I mean, one of our main damage is a Blink Blade who hits lots of times for, not little, but it's not huge numbers. And there's me, who I can't go up and do stuff by myself.
No.
So it was kind of this case of like, we really need to use the bomb on these 2 things. we probably want to kill these 2 guns as well.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work. So in the end, I was just like, I'll just move up and kill those 2. All right.
Yeah, it was you, wasn't it? You popped first. Yeah, okay.
Because I think you were not moving, Phil was not moving, Mark was not moving. So I was like, I'll do that. I'll go up and I'll do it, and I can move some people around as well.
Yeah. And it worked out. I think Mark looked at the Xhaven and he calculated that it was like 34 points of health for using the nuke, which we're like, that's a lot of damage that we're removing in one round kind of thing. And then Phil gets to go up and play with the AAs. And then, yeah.
What's funny though? Sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, being a corridor was really tight. So a lot of the times with movement, like I got to move 6, which then became a move 5. And, where the steel automatons were, yes, got it, where they dropped their loot. So that meant I kind of wanted to stop on them and start collecting loot so that I could craft stuff. It was just a real headache for me regarding movement. And that -1 was already causing problems, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't have from memory, I think I've got 1 move 3, but it's like move 4, move 6. And it's just like, I hate the fact that these are going like shitter than the way they're normally supposed to go.
Yeah. What was funny, and I only just realized this because we talked about the flavor, is it Crane? Is it Crane? No. Yeah, Crane's like, all right, now here's 1 bomb each. Make sure you only use this at the worst possible scenario. It's like, all right, turn 1, blow him up. Like, literally just jump straight in and you can. It's like, I can see him. He hasn't even left. Like, you know how the NPC gives you the quest and then when you enter, they like run away, like in WoW? He hasn't even finished leaving yet. Like, he's like, all right, now go. And he's just turned around.
He turns around.
There's an explosion. I told you to wait. What are you doing?
Well, we killed two of them. It was worth.
Right.
Yeah, at least in our head right then and there.
This was the worst, right? It's like there was 2 right there. What were we going to do? So, but no, this room as well was also where we figured out that maybe we had chosen poorly when it came to our challenges. Now, the reason was the guns have this card that when they shoot somebody, they do 1 damage, I think it is, maybe 2 damage to someone standing next to them, or to all of the anyone standing next to them, right?
And they have triangle as well.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, well, they also do that, right? But this one, the way they shoot something and do a damage to everything around it, is really bad when you have a challenge that says anytime anyone takes damage, someone else takes 1 damage.
Well, right? Because if a monster causes you to take damage.
If a monster causes you to take damage, then someone else must take a damage, right? Because there was a situation very early on when we got up to the cannons where it was going to shoot me and then cause 1 damage to Phil, which then would have triggered the thing again. So, and Mark was taking most of the damage because he was sitting back at that stage and healing, which was good. But it was like, oh, hang on, if we do this is basically causing me to get hit, Phil to get hit, and then Mark to take 2 instances of that 1 damage. So we were like, oh, okay, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Oh, it's only the guns. Like the guns, they've only got 1 card. Like that's not that bad. Yeah.
Look, it was like little ping pongs of bullets, just shrapnel and stuff like that pinging around the room. And it was really, I didn't have to worry about it or think about it much because I have 11 HP, well, 10 at the start, and Gaz was healing me at the start. I didn't take any damage, and people refused to assign any of this bonus challenge damage to me. So it was great. I kind of got to ignore it while everyone was arguing over who was going to take it, which was mostly Mark, which was great because he's got regen. He cancels it out almost.
And he was pretty good like that because he's got a good amount of HP. And I think me and him shared it a bit, but he took a bulk of it. Like it was just like, that's fine, it's fine. Until he would get low and be like, oh, not fine anymore, right? Or what the awkward moment when he would get hit. And we were like, wait, Mark can't take it for himself. Someone else is going to take it. Yeah. And that was usually me, except they got to a part at the end or midway through where I was very almost dead, like really, really bad. I was like, I can't take any of this damage. Like someone else needs to take it for a couple of rounds.
Yeah,
so
I had to put my hands up a little bit there. So we deal with the AAs. I'm still making my way through the room. Gaz is still there. Mark's at the front. And we open the door and we go into this room. Now, this room's huge. It's 2 relatively large tiles put together. Right, it's absolutely huge, and there are ruined machines all over the place. There are ancient artillery spread out. There's a couple of automatons and various obstacles in annoying places. And then there are some letters which are probably spawn points. There's a chest and then a door number 2, which was part of the objective that has to be sealed. So in this room, there are 12 elite mobs altogether. And then we get the special rules of it. So at the start of each round, we're going to spawn 2 ruined machines on 2 different A tiles, right? So 2 altogether. And then we're going to spawn an automaton at the other one on the far end of the room. They're all going to be elite, right? What the hell? So within a round, we're going to get 3 new ones coming, and this is every single round, which is disgusting.
Forever.
Yeah. And it was at this moment we started to go, do we clear? There's the door. Obviously, it's all the way over there. We're going to have to get through this middle, this absolute mishmash of just ruined machines and everything else blasting us. Now I can see where the nukes are coming in handy and trying to plan around, how we're going to get those nukes in. So you pop your banner and do it towards the entrance. And then I think Phil was the next one to pop his nuke in the first section of the room.
He opened the door and ran in and managed to have enough movement, even still with the -1 movement, to get close enough to, again, nuke that start of the room and kind of go, okay, well, this is cleared and we can kind of move in safely now. Because we were all pretty close to needing a rest. And being an escape one, we were kind of a little bit wary of like short resting. So,
yeah, well, we know that the goal is to get over there and make a break for it. And the other thing is we don't know what's behind door number 2. We don't know if we need to save our nukes for it. How many are we supposed to have? Is the sealing mechanic tied to the nuke? There are just so many things that will potentially get groups. Like there's a real gotcha there. If you save 2 or 3 of these nukes, you're not using it to clear that room properly. You're going to take a massive dick in getting from one end to the other, only to realize, hey, we actually could have used these properly. So there's a bit of a rolling of the dice and just hoping for the best, which is kind of what we kind of did as we were heading over there. Couple of notable things that I remember in this room. I think after we kind of opened the door, everything started to move over, which kind of left us in the entrance a little bit. It was a little bit hard. Phil did use he popped his nuke and cleared a fair bit, but the middle range was all coming to us. Gaz propped me in the right position to set off one of mine, which was really handy because, it was just, there's just shit everywhere and it's so hard to move around. Also, being a meteor, I don't want to be close to stuff. I want to be in melee range, but I have so tiny amounts of health. It was so awkward for me to actually get into the right positions to do all the things I want to do. And all the while, that damage challenge card is just wrecking us constantly.
Yeah. Anytime anyone gets hit. So it was an interesting middle room because I remember after Phil used his bomb when he moved in, he cleared a really big space. And because they're unlimited spawns and there's 3 ruined machine spawn points, right? The ones in the back. Oh, was there 2? Sorry, 2.
I think so.
With the one down the back was the steel wolf thing. That didn't seem as scary because it was so far away. But it only took 2 turns, and suddenly it was like, oh, we're swamped again. Like that's the thing. How quickly it happens. It was like, oh, okay, some breathing space, and then you're like, finish that turn, go next. Okay, wait, hang on. Now there's a bunch of dudes again. So it was kind of a bit like, okay, take a breather. Oh wait, don't rest too long.
No. And real machines, they haven't really been scary in a long time.
No.
But I think an old friend, an old card that they used to use, the self-destruct card, they very politely reintroduced you to it. As you stood right in front of me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's not just, it's 2 instances of damage that you're receiving, obviously from the hit and then from the explosion, which then there's 2 instances of damage that someone else is receiving as well.
Yeah.
It just kept stacking and it started to get real scary.
Yeah. There was a point. There was 2 turns that I almost died. So there was one where I went forward and tanked a bit and got hit really bad. And then I just needed to go early-ish and I could heal myself back up because I had my heal banner, had a couple of heal cards. So I was like, oh, and my pot. So I think I ended up healing back like 16 health in a turn or something like that. So that was fine, right? The second time was the problem. Everyone else had moved forward and I was kind of bringing up the rear.
Well,
and
you moved me forward. You helped me go forward, which left you behind.
And then they pulled that card and I realized that I was going to be in range of 5 of them, right? So within 2, because they moved 2 on that card, of 5 of these things. So And I only had one card, I think, in my hand to discard. So I'm looking at this, and I was on about 6 health, I reckon, maybe 10, thereabout. It wasn't a lot compared to how many times I was going to get hit. So yeah, it was like, okay, there's no way I can take 5 hits and then also take the trap damage 5 times. This is just dumb. Plus, that means that's going to deal 10 damage to somebody else, right? Just through the challenge card. So we got stuck for a little bit. Detty actually came out with a massive play. He says it was by accident, but I like to think he did it on purpose. He
I
had
was
the
gonna
foresight,
use I was gonna
to
use the
select the
bottom
card.
of Ingeus or Igneous. I can't remember the path, the one where you walk, you leave fire behind. I was gonna use that, but I ended up I did that for that purpose. And then when I saw you were like, help, help, I was like, oh, I'll use the top to create the snake. Which was really, really, really cool. And that was another point of the game actually where we sat there for a good 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something trying to work out how to save Gaz and save the scenario because it was cooked.
Well, that was the big thing, right? This was a kind of a groupish puzzle in that if we didn't solve this, we just lose. So that it wasn't kind of one of those. It's like, don't worry about it. Just see what happens. Draw the cards. Hopefully you get lucky. It's like, no. I'm dead. Like I'm dead here. Like and so if we don't solve this, then we may as well just restart. And I think we did. Like again, looked it around and tried to path that snake in a way that left the hazardous so that they would run around the other way. And I think I only got hit by 2, which was pretty good. Popped my new talent as well that I got for the
you blew
Banisphere.
yourself.
Yeah, that's how we want to talk about it. So gave myself 2 shields for the round. Turns out it's pretty useless against trap damage because it doesn't do anything. So again, I agree that talent goes in the bin.
Still whelmed. Whelmed.
Oh no, underwhelmed. Not even whelmed.
When you said you were going to use it, I got excited, and then I was also fairly underwhelmed. But I mean, saved you a little bit of damage.
I got excited too until I realized it didn't affect trap damage, and then I was like, I'm a lot less excited now. So anyway, it was a big middle point of the scenario because we weren't in the last room yet. We were kind of coming close, and it was also at an interesting point because you guys were all up to the door, and I just needed to get there, and I feel like then the ruin machines were far enough behind that we could have just gone into the door and kind of left them behind us, but it was just this one because I was getting stuck. So it was a tense situation of tense. Are we going to lose this right now?
And at this stage, also we've used 3 nukes because I used my middle of the room. It was just Mark who had his left, and it was trying to work out how to plan his. So we actually got towards the end, and we were about to pop it. I think Phil popped the door open for the last room, and we got to actually see it's like a medium-sized hex room with 3 flaming blade spinners, one of them being elite, and 2 ancient artilleries in the corners. And then we had more special rules saying the door had 20 health. It can also be destroyed by the nuke, meaning we can also hit it. And when door 2 is destroyed, remove it and any figure on it and turn it into a wall. And if it's destroyed, no characters in the final room, the scenario is lost.
Yeah.
And Mark was like, well, he's got still automatons everywhere. He's got an ancient artillery next to him, and the blade spinners are starting to make their way out of the room, trying to work out when to pop his nuke. But if he popped it too close to the door, he seals the door and we can't get in, and then we just insta-lose. So it became another bloody puzzle that happened at the end of him trying to time his nuke properly, which it is so satisfying every time you get this off because the amount of standees you clear from the board and how empty it looks afterwards is great. But every single round, more spawns, right? And that's what I mean. This scenario just had move written all over it, despite the challenge card saying -1 to your move, which is really kind of crap. So yeah, Gaz took a beating coming over, and it was just chaos everywhere. Mark decides to nuke, and he does. I'm too busy trying to line up my smaller schlong. I'm getting used to having a smaller one now, which is its own little puzzle. There are a lot of times that we're sitting there turning cards around and surveying the board. I would say more so than we do normally, which was just chaos.
And Phil's going into the room and he's going to do like big damage on the blade spinners and the Beyblades. And then we remind him that they have retaliate. And he's like, oh, don't want to do that.
No, I go invisible and I hit the ancient artillery.
Yep. Which was actually better. Like he had a really big
so
hit
much
and
better.
killing out artillery. But it just, I remember we were getting hit by something. It might have been one of the Beyblades hit like maybe two of us, or it did something. I can't remember what happened, but it was towards the end. And I'm like, kept thinking, wow, you know what? The design of this scenario and the monster choice paired with the fact that they chose this challenge card for us, right, is amazing. Absolutely. And then I would realize, oh no, we chose the challenge card. Like, there's got to be something to be said about the design that goes into some of these challenge cards that they can have this kind of impact, because this isn't the first time where we've managed to choose a challenge card that's just I'll say worked really well, as in been bad for us consistently through the scenario because of like the mob type or the objective type or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really interesting how that lines up so frequently. And it added so much to the scenario.
It
Like
did.
that for me, that is the scenario as well. Like if
Yeah.
we're talking about this scenario and if we do a top 10, top worst, top hardest, whatever it is, this will factor into that.
Yeah.
It'll be like, yeah, and we were taking one more damage all the time, which is not part of the scenario design.
No,
So
I do wonder how much damage we would have taken altogether because of it. Like, it would be crazy high.
heaps, right?
Yeah, like easily. So we start chipping away at the door. We remove the door ultimately. We're all in the room. We all made it in there. It's lovely. We're all happy. There's 2 blades left, and yeah, we start to finish them off. And before we finish them off, or even after we finish them off, I'm like, quick, someone blow the pets so that we can mention them, because they weren't really a factor. Unfortunately, it was awkward. And actually, I remind you, I've got What Dog here. No shade to What Dog. Maybe someone help me out because I did pop the question, but it wasn't answered. It says in initiative order, all characters immediately perform attack 2, and some of us were adjacent to only Beyblades at the time, which have retaliate. We didn't want to. We were all really, really low. And I was like, if we pop this, do we have to? It doesn't say may. It sounds like as soon as you pop Hot Dog, everyone in initiative order immediately perform attack 2. Now, unless you can say, oh, I can't find a target, even though there's one right there, thus choosing not to, I don't really know. But that was the only time where we popped one of the pets for something. Wart didn't come into play at all. I don't know why. I think it was because no one wanted to take the extra 2 damage based on the amount of damage we were taking.
Yeah, but Wart's an interesting one because it's everyone at the same time. It benefits people mostly, and it's level 1 card, right? It benefits mostly when you have an odd number of cards, but we're all at different cycles with that. So yeah, it is that's an odd one, but the What Dog one was funny. I think the other when we ended up doing it, the problem was that Mark was going to hit the door.
That's right.
Right,
and I had
we're
Clenched
like,
Rage up.
Yeah, because you were like, okay, I'm going to hit this thing for heaps, and
my next hit's going to be double.
Yep.
And if I crit, I'll hit it for 16. And this is before we were in the room. We were going to start whittling on it on the way into the room. So if Mark pulled a +2 on his attack 2 and I pulled my crit, we insta lose the scenario. And it was like, when does that ever happen?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if everyone does max damage, we lose. Yeah. Like it was such a weird scenario or situation to be in. So
yeah, we finish it, which is really, really cool. We then start talking to the orphan. We're very tired and effed up, and it's kind of mocking us a little bit because we're all tired. And then it thinks their creator sent us to make sure the Unfettered remain forgotten and lost. It starts referring to us as master, and what do we want? Do we want them to kneel to us and beg for peace, or are we there to destroy them once and for all? Which was very cool. Now, we saw going into this scenario, it was going to branch off. So we knew it was going to come down to a choice. We just didn't know what the impact of it was. So I was really satisfied with how this kind of happened. And this will lead us to what seems to be the final 2 scenarios for the Unfettered quest line. Do we broker peace with the Unfettered, or do we destroy them? And look, the finale of this place kind of crept up on us. I don't think we expected it to be nearly finished, because we're 1 quest away from finishing Lurker, and now we're 1 quest away from finishing Unfettered.
Yeah.
Although we're still missing
that's it.
one.
And then that's all the
one
major
shard.
quest lines done, right?
Absolutely.
So,
And we haven't made that decision yet. Should we let
No.
people pick for us? Is that a thing? Or
oh,
no?
that's dangerous.
Well, surely people will know the two, and one is worse than the other.
And they'll pick the worst one for us, right?
Well, we won't know until we do it, and then
That's
it may
true.
not be the worst. It may be the best thing ever. Rewards: we gain 10 XP each, which is awesome for Phil because he's still level 9. And Gaz, I think, also is heading in that direction.
No, I finished 3. I finished 2 or 3 XP off.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We gained shock grenades, which it's
completely different to what it's like. He gave us one to test, and we are like, wow, this is incredible. Like, we are 100%, we will invest in this. He's like, sure, all right, now here's the actual product. And it's kind of like, one of those ads, like, the thing you buy on Wish, but what you wanted, but what you get on Wish type thing. Yeah.
It's like a model, a 3-target model, isn't it? Or something like that.
Look, it's not a bad item, I guess. It's like target 3. I think it's at range, and it's reusable, so it's not one use, which a lot of those things are. I don't know. I feel like, muddle, I guess.
No one's getting it.
No, 100% no one's getting it unless there's somebody who wants to work around muddle. Actually, interestingly enough, I don't know this for sure, so I probably should have looked it up before I say it. But apparently, there's a Blink Blade card that lets you ignore retaliate on creatures that are muddled.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Look, I probably should look this up.
Was this in conversation in a various social media? Yeah, okay. It was just a passing comment?
Yeah, it was either on Reddit or it was on the Frosthaven Outpost where someone was talking about Blink Blades and retaliate, et cetera. And that just it came up. So, maybe that's a combination that works. I don't know.
To be fair, well, you as Coral, when you're playing Retaliate, you love it when things are modeled or having disadvantage because it's great for Retaliate. So
that's a good point, actually. There's probably instances like that where you're like, hey, I'm going to go. Muddle is an underrated way of mitigating damage because it's random, right? Like, you can still get hit for 2. They can still pull 2+1s and then you go, oh, well, it didn't do anything. But, generally it does a lot of work. So being able to keep things muddled could actually work. So,
okay. So, what were your thoughts on? Oh yeah,
I found it. It's the bottom of Overdrive. If you go fast, all your attacks targeting enemies that have muddle are unaffected by retaliate this round.
Oh, okay. Is it what level is that?
1. It's a level 1 card.
Oh, okay. No.
He's not taking level 1 cards.
No.
But next time he complains about retaliate, he has the tools, right? He has the tools. It's like Batman going like, that thing is a medium distance away and there's another dude next to him. If I only had some form of boomerang type contraption, and we're like, you do? He's like, I didn't bring it. So, well, that sounds like that's on you now. Thoughts of the scenario? Cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't realize to have that. And look, again, this is going off on a tangent of a tangent, but this is what's really cool about you playing the Meteor is we're going to see if anyone plays the Blink Blade again or any of the other characters again, right? Because we're going to get other double ups. We're going to get to see cards that we probably didn't see the first time around.
That's true.
Because people play things differently, but also our group tends to have a bit of I want to do something different. Like most of us will. They do, yeah. Yeah, like, oh, okay, well, we saw it that way. I'm going to try and make a different build work. So we might see some of these characters get played in different ways. So it's always really cool hearing about these other kind of utility cards as well that might shape the way that the character's played.
That aren't so obviously exciting, but unlocks a different way of playing and utilizing it. And I think that's what's really cool.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on Scenario 51?
It was great. I loved it. I thought it was really, really cool. Really well designed, really thematic. It's part of me, I had to fight against the urge of hating unlimited spawns. In this instance, it worked. And it did have a feeling of you're going to get overwhelmed, so you need to go quickly.
Yeah.
I know there's been a couple of others that have done that. They've probably complained about. I think this one felt a bit different because you could get past the wave, and then the wave was coming behind you, so you still had this urgency, but it wasn't a wave you were fighting through.
No.
Which I think, I don't know. It sounds it might be kind of semantic, but that makes it feel a bit different to how you can play around it. Like, hey, if we can get over this hump, right, of these spawns,
Yeah.
then we can kind of go on overdrive and we can finish it rather than we got to get really lucky. Hopefully they don't move. Hopefully they do move, all that kind of shit. So,
Yeah. There was definitely a sense of urgency about it. I think the nuke thing was really cool because this is kind of what we wanted from the previous one, where it was like, here's some cool abilities and all that you can actually recharge and use again after a long rest, but it was against the odds feeling, and we didn't get that in the previous one. It was just a stomp. Whereas this one actually was like, oh, whoa, okay, we have to plan this properly and actually think about this properly. It probably has caused more communication between us than any other scenario in recent memory, where we're literally trying to plan out positioning where people are going to stand and watch out for this, Phil, go deal with this, etc., etc.
yeah.
And I love that. And you know what's really cool about this scenario? This is the penultimate one before the finale, right? Where the Algox one was scenario 52, my number one and most hated scenario so far in Frosthaven. And the other one was one of the bosses that died in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Before we went to the Coral one. So this one really, it delivered. It completely delivered in spades. And it was, I don't know, it was really good. And like you said, the challenges elevated it to that kind of
the
level.
challenges made it even better. Like they made it so that you just had to think again about what you were doing. Like the -1 movement seems fine, but it's not. There's so many times where like you're like, I'm going to jump over here 4. No, I'm not. I'm going to jump 3. 3's not 4. It's very different to 4. For some reason, 4 is always exactly what you want, and 3 is never the right amount.
No.
Like so many times, it's like 3 doesn't do what I want it to do, so I guess I won't be moving. Right?
It's like the 2 key points of the scenario is, one, you're going to take a lot of damage because of all of the spawns and everything like that. You're not there to kill everything. You can't kill everything, right? It's not going to happen. And the other one is you got to get from there all the way to there through all the things that are going to do heaps of damage. The 2 challenge cards literally impacted both of those things and made them both harder. And it made the scenario very stressful. And there were moments where, like the bit where you were going to potentially exhaust if you took it, like to have that kind of stress where we're all standing up and trying to work out the puzzle. Yeah, it was really good to be able to feel that again because we haven't felt that in a little while. Maybe not since Couch.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, moving the couch is probably the last time we felt that, and I don't think you can feel that all the time. Like, I think this is one of the things is you can't have every scenario be on the edge like that, and I think for 2 reasons. One, I think the stress probably just gets a bit much, and then that becomes the norm, and then it feels like one of those games that's in the grimdark that wants to kill you all the time, and you're like, ugh, like. Yeah, like this game's great, but it always seems like a grind because we always get stuck. And that's, you know what, like that's maybe where the last scenario, the one before this, worked really well because it did kind of put us into this false sense of security of like, hey, we are gods and we've got these awesome bombs that are just going to wreck everything. Look how good we are. And then we come to this one, there's kind of like a bit of a halt to that. So there was kind of a good like yin and yang in that sense. So that was really well designed. And I mean, the other thing as well is you don't want scenarios like this all the time because RNG can affect you.
Yeah.
And if it's on a knife's edge every single time, right, you just got to fall over a couple of times to the wrong edge of that with your RNG. And then suddenly there's a really bad feeling at the table.
Yeah.
Like we lost that because of X. Now, it's not always going to be RNG, but when you pull the wrong few cards at the end of a scenario and it just books you, you go, oh, okay, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So it is really cool that we've had a hard one.
Yeah. I agree with all of that.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was awesome with this one was that everyone had a really good chance to shine. Like there was some really big plays, I think, from everyone at the table, and not all just, oh, hey, you did heaps of damage.
Yeah.
And a lot of the scenarios come down to that because that's how the game works, right? Like there's things that need to die. So it was really cool that there were multiple times people were able to use their cards, abilities, or have big turns that were able to not just, oh, great, you used an attack and you rolling modifier killed everything. It was kind of using other abilities people had to kind of shape the battlefield, which was good. It was really cool. It was a really good team effort.
Yeah, I agree. No, it'll be interesting at the end of everything if this one will feature in one of the positive lists. Because we've had a few real good doozies actually since the last time we did a top 10, which is pretty cool. Now, Ormi. He's deader than previous dead Ormis, I think. I think he's unbelievably fucked.
I mean, I don't think the most dead.
Oh, he's pretty dead.
Like, he's going to slowly make his way up through that first room. It's only once he gets closer to the spawn points than we are that he's screwed.
Yeah, but there's not much we can do about that.
No,
unless we can all
that.
make it into that room and stop it. But even then, there's going to be something that'll pop right in that round and then go wreck him.
Interesting, though. There was nothing in the rules to say that when that... actually, I don't know if there is. I should ask this question rather than stating it. Anything in the rules to say when that door is destroyed, if everything on the other thing is killed? Because it just says if there's any players not in that room, then the scenario is lost. So technically, you could cave the door from inside the room with Ormi in there, and Ormi survives somehow. Miraculously, he makes it out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of thematic sense. No, Ormi's dead. He's completely messed up.
Yeah, it's a terrible scenario for me.
Community-wise, now I was trying to look into what other people are saying about the scenario, like I do every single time. I have found nothing on this scenario. Absolutely nothing.
That's weird.
There's no talk about it. There's a lot of talk about scenario 51, which I think might, based on the threads that were showing up for it, might be the final scenario for Gloomhaven. So a lot of people were talking about that, but there was nothing about Frosthaven, the Orphan Halls, which was interesting.
Okay.
Our battle goals for the evening. We had Weakling, become exhausted before any other character. That's Phil's. Phil picked it, and then, I don't know, it was at some stage in the first room or something. He goes, lol, I can't do my battle goal.
Yep.
And we're like, and whenever anyone says that, we try to help him out and say, no, tell us how it is. We'll make it happen. Oh, that's not happening.
Yeah, don't do that, please.
Pauper, never collect a loot token from end of turn loot. I just remembered this. Now, this was Gaz's battle
I
goal.
avoided all of the loot for 3/4 of the scenario, right up until the door into the last room. And then the turn after, Detty managed to save me with his fire snake thing, and I then had a move 4, really quick move 4. So that's the thing. I knew next turn I was out, but like I moved 4 and I had to get there, but it was a really move 3 and move as far forward as I could. And I did not notice that I landed on a piece of loot until the next turn, I think it was. And Mark was like, "Oh, hey, did you get that loot under there?" And I was like, fuck.
What loot?
So, look, not no shade on Mark. Like, I'm glad he pointed it out because that's the rules. But it was annoying because I deliberately didn't loot all the way up to there, so I missed out on looting everything and I only got one loot, and it was the one loot I just did not want. So,
yeah. Hilarious. We had Prepper. This was Mark. It was achieved. He very, very proudly announced it in the first 3. He goes, "That was 3 rounds of me not attacking anything," which is perform no attack abilities in the first 3 rounds. So yes, he got to do that.
Did he then continued on, like did he misread the card that said don't attack anything for the entire scenario?
Look, I think he was damage soak for the challenge card. He also looted everything. I don't know. He played his loot
actually. 1. Yeah. He was a healer, a damage soak, and a vacuum. So he did all of that.
And then we had Exterminator, which is kill 1 or more enemies of each monster type that appears in the scenario. That was mine. Really need perks early. And when everyone nuked the beginning room, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. And then later on, it was like, oh, someone can actually nuke this. And I'm looking at it, and there's 3 types in that group, right? No blade spinners because they're in the final room. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. I can do this. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. I can't make it there. And Gaz was like, if I move him out of the way, will that help you? And I'm like, yes, it really will. And straight in there. I didn't care what happened after that. Nuked everything. It was great. Then I had to kill a blade spinner, which the guys very kindly, for personal reasons, allowed me to kill one of the normal blade spinners at the end, giving me the 2 ticks that I needed. That was much appreciated. DPS. So we'll start with Mark. So he did 6 damage. 6.
How many times did he attack?
I don't have the sheet. I only have the chart. So I'm not too sure, but he did 6, which, but he did 48 healing. Okay. And he tanked 50 or took 50 damage. All right. So yeah. And he was looting. Like if there was loot meters here, he'd be having loot.
Yeah, that's right.
And if there was, and we also didn't factor in damage for the nukes, right? Whenever somebody did nukes, we didn't factor that in. Yeah, so he got a fat nuke off at the end.
Yeah, he killed like at least 3 of the steel wolves, and I think also a turret, I reckon. Yep. So, I mean, if you include those, I mean, that's already there, like 60 damage, right? So,
Detty, me, I did 48 damage, which I didn't realize I did. I mean, that was okay. I barely, when I talk about the meteor, barely attacked anything, or felt like I was barely attacking anything. That's because I was only counting the double in my head when I could finally get that off. That was a bit risk reward. I took 25 damage, which is way too much for me, and healed 7. I don't know how. Gaz did 30. He took 56, and he healed for 31. Phil did 81 damage without nukes, 45 damage taken, and 18 healing. And looking at those damage taken numbers, 25, 56, 45, 50, they're disgusting. That just shows that challenge was the reason that those are all so high, like crazy high. Scenario 51 in the books. We then do our outpost phase. We have an outpost event, summer outpost event 45. And this is the one you did remember.
Yep. This is the one that old mate came back.
Yeah, we found a corpse, or we think it was a corpse. So it was a Savas rocky dude, etc. And it had a hole on its chest, which Savas do. And we happened to have a charged core with us, and we popped it in. I don't remember when this was. It was quite a while back. He then found us in Frosthaven and offered us a reward for it. And it was great. We got the reward, and it was fat money. And it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, that was that. Did you have anything you wanted to add to any of 51 and also Outpost phase?
No, I don't think so. I think overall that was fine. The Savas coming back was funny because last week, or no, it might have been in the media unboxing, I think it was. We talked about how the game handles a character coming back, because they're not just a character on a sheet, right? They're embedded in the story in a sense. So we were curious as to, well, hang on, this meteor has already been played. So is this another meteor, or is this like the same guy coming back? It must be another one. It doesn't make any sense for it to be the same one who's already gone away. And then, anyway. And so we were like, well, has Phil, original meteor, Bob, whatever his name was, has he actually come back and done his I'm back thing or not? We couldn't really remember. And we were thinking, wait, is this going to be like Spider-Man meme where there's going to be 2 meteors standing there just pointing at each other? And then the first thing that happens is this guy's like, oh yeah, there's the Ultras of us says, oh, I'm back. And we're like, oh my God, it's happened. He's going to realize that we went and got a new meteor, and he's going to be really annoyed. We're like, oh, we thought you were dead.
Yeah. And it was when we got further into the Outpost event, then we realized, oh, this doesn't sound right. Oh, wait, it's this guy. So yeah, I actually don't remember what Phil's return was actually with the meteor.
Nah, that's why.
I'm pretty sure it has to have happened though. I don't think it was by an event. I think it was a calendar event, but yeah, it was very eventful.
I mean, most of them haven't been that much. The only reason we remember the Drifter one is because we got a shovel, right? Like, if it had been just another random item that was in I don't know, not funny and also not great, we probably would forget that it happened. So yeah, it's a
shame that you can't retire the character and get the event back in the calendar again every time. Like, get the Drifter to, if you play the Drifter often enough, you'll unlock all the blueprints, right?
That's true. Farm drifters. Yeah. Maybe that's the incentive to make people play characters that maybe don't have as much depth as the other ones, is they make the reward really good. So
Uh,
The only other thing I would say is
Yep.
about the rewards and stuff like that.
Sure.
So if you went to say 7-Eleven or to get a slushy, right? So a frozen drink. I'm trying to make this international friendly, but like you go to somewhere, you get a frozen ice drink or Coke or whatever it is, right? Right, and I know you're not paying for it, but if like you push the machine on and you had your cup, and then like the cup was filled up, and then like you kept going and then overflowed, you'd probably be a little bit sad that it overflowed, right? Like, not that you're paying for it and it's like unlimited, so you don't really care. But at the same point, you wasted some. Like there's a sense like, you've poured yourself a glass of Coke and like it's all fallen out the sides. You're like, oh, well, that's a waste now. Like nobody can reuse that. It's gone forever.
I don't know if it's the right analogy because like if it overflows, you immediately go, oh, and you just start looking up the side.
That's true. You do start looking up the side, so you do get to keep some, right? And this has happened a few times in the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks, I reckon. That's the only reason it's popped up is that a couple of feel bad moments about being at max, having your bucket full, right? So, for example, we got 3 morale as a reward for the road event we did. That's a great reward if you don't have lots of morale. And this is now the second time recently that we've gained morale when we are full on morale.
Yeah.
We're trying to spend morale. Like we've made it a mission. Our goal about 10 weeks ago was to like bottom out on morale.
Yeah.
Like, and we wanted to hit the event at the bottom to see what it was. We just can't. Like, we can't spend it quick enough. Right?
No, like this is the part where I'm like, are we getting the rules right? I know we can double build with it. And is there something else we could have used it for? And there probably
Soldiers.
is. So do we use morale for soldiers?
I think you spend morale to build soldiers. Morale and gold, I'm pretty sure. Right. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
I don't know. The carpenter. Look, we know all this when we're at the game table. It's just hard sometimes when we're trying to remember all this.
Yeah. Either way, the point is that like, and look, that doesn't really matter. But when it's and that, so you can kind of like cop that. You're like, oh, okay, it's one resource. That's fine. The 10 XP. Right, because this is the second scenario that we've got XP reward, I think, and Phil has been level 9. Now, I know that the incentive is there for people to retire characters, so that comes back up every time. Like I go, oh, it would be cool if there was some kind of extra thing that you got that converted for XP. Oh, you're not supposed to be past level 9, blah, blah. I get that. But I'm talking about the game experience, and there are certain buckets that you are supposed to try to fill up, and when they're full, you don't get anything out of it. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Perks, battle goals, things like that. When you have completed all those, which again is probably more a later thing. But once we've retired 3 or 4 characters, we're going to fill out the perks pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's just, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of discussing like how you change it, what you change, et cetera, because I don't think it needs changing. It was just worth bringing up that there's been a couple of like, I don't know, like sad face moments because it's like you have these events. The adventure for the mayor was really cool, right? But the reward was useless, like completely useless.
Yeah.
And that just kind of makes me go, it sucks there's no backup. Like, gain this. And then in the rules, if you're full on X, gain Y instead.
Yeah. No, I get that. I find it amusing because when I was picking it up to remember it, etc., I may have seen the other side of it. And I was just like, we would be having this chat right now.
Yeah. And that's it, right? Like at the end of the day, this is why isn't a call for like this is broken, it doesn't work, it's stupid. I think it's completely fine because there's so much luck involved, right? Like when you draw it, are you in that spot? I'm sure there were people who are halfway down or, just coming into winter and their morale's really low and they get a really big morale bonus to go, wow, that was great timing. And they'll be talking about how good was that because it saved us, it gave us all this extra strength for our defenses, etc. So again, it's all timing, right?
There's potentially an element of RNG to it as well because we may have just picked up the very last morale event in the whole game and we still have fat decks to go through. It's just we won't know unless we go through them.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's going through my mind is, this is our experience now, and this is you're bringing this up now. Long time ago, like we are similar to. I saw someone else complaining about it, where they're talking about being absolutely overflowing with resources and having nothing to spend them on. And I remember being in a similar spot to that, and then talking to Weedy ages ago, where he was like, "We are resource poor as hell," and it's like, "Oh, what's that going to be like?" Oh no, I'm starting to see it now, etc. I'm just trying to, I agree with you. It's just the lineup of how everything kind of happens is are we getting way more morale than a standard group is, and therefore it's making us go, our bucket's like super overflowing right now. Whereas another group's just like, oh god, we just need one event that's going to give us morale. Where the hell are they? And we're like, mate, have ours, have some happiness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good point. That could be the case, and it is just the luck, and that's why I don't think that it's just been a couple of moments that I've just been like, ugh. Like we're trying at these events, we're trying to pick which of these seems like it's a morale reward. Let's pick as far away from that as we can, right? And I think we're getting it wrong.
Yeah. It's the amDirt way. Pick the dumb thing because it's stupid. And everyone's like, that is so stupid. Have some morale. We didn't think of that. It's like, no, that's not what we want. What was in the other bag? Like, just give us that.
So,
I want to talk a little bit about the Deteor. So just going into this is my first scenario as the meteor, and I am going in under the pretense that I want to play with Hardened Spike and something Fury, right? I want to try and get some right-click damage out there. And I actually found it really, really challenging. One of them being I couldn't ever move into position that I wanted to. This was probably unfair because it's the scenario that we had. It was a very go, go, go one, which I didn't particularly feel like I had a strength to play in there other than when I started playing with hazardous terrain. That was really fun and amazing when I saved you. That was really cool. But yeah, little things like I brought way too many top attacks. The majority of them, and I would say all of them except for I think there's a ranged magma one that I brought with me. They were all melee, which meant that I had to be in melee range. But because we were surrounded by a bazillion ruined machines and all that, I never wanted to end my turn next to something, which was really, really hard. And I did find myself running around with way too many top attacks that weren't being used because I was refusing to go close enough to become a hindrance to our party by getting my head caved in. And yeah, I think I'd need to probably bring a little bit more utility. There are some other cards that I kind of pissed on during our unboxing, and not really pissed, but I was like, oh, that does 1 damage and it creates, an obstacle over there. That would have actually been really, really handy. Here's the other thing that was confusing me. Other meteors who are new or even experienced ones may go, that's something you get used to, is the way I'm playing it right now with Hardened Spike and other cards. They rely, a lot of them, for the extra damage, the bonuses, they rely on the target being either in hazardous terrain or adjacent to an obstacle or walls or something. And I confuse them in my head sometimes. So I'm ready to prepare. I'm like, yes, he's on a hazardous terrain. This is amazing. I'm going to go in, Hardened Spike. Oh, wait. He doesn't need to be on hazardous terrain. He needs to be adjacent to an obstacle. And I'll go caught out a few times that way. So far, I'm really happy. I think it was a really challenging scenario. And I actually felt like I might have been the one to let us down there because of my lack of movement, my self-damage that I was going to be doing to myself from the mandatory things. Also, this scenario didn't really open us into many long rest opportunities. So yeah, it was an interesting one to start off with, and I think it was a little on the rough side, but I enjoyed it.
I mean, the thing is as well, in unlimited spawn scenarios, especially unlimited spawn escape scenarios, all of your attacks seem like they're a waste.
Yeah.
Right? Like
That's
anybody's attacks. Unless you are killing something, focusing a key target, if it's chaff, which a lot of the things were, you go, it's not really worth moving up and hitting it and doing 6 damage to it when it's got 14 life.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably just going to jump over it next turn.
It's true, but there were times where I was not even using the top because it was a melee attack. If I was on the shackles, at least move and I've got range to do something. And if it's whittling something down, it feels better than using your bottom to move and your top to do nothing.
Yeah.
which is isolated to this scenario. Really, it wouldn't be a lot of other ones, but for a first one, I'm very optimistic going into two more, and I'm really excited to see and explore more of how I'm trying to play this character.
Well, I think you did really well. Like there were a couple of key points where you put hazardous down, which really helped. You didn't die, right, in a scenario that would have been very easy to die. Your movement isn't great, and you also managed to keep up and kind of move in everywhere. You did your battle goal.
I
You
think the
nuked stuff when you
characters.
needed to.
Yeah, I think the character's got great movement. I think the challenge kind of messed me up a little bit, and also this scenario in particular, I didn't want to be moving too far forward because I was going to get clapped. But
Yep.
I don't want meteors to come after me and go, no, it's got great movement, because it definitely, has got
Does
good
it? Okay.
movement.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. Sorry, a couple of PSAs. Now, I'm calling them PSAs, public service announcements. They are not. We've done some things in the past, and I've had people PM me, DM me, and said, "Hey, I didn't know that. Thanks for you've saved our campaign." I think there's one vague one I remember where someone said that, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. We're changing lives. That's amazing." So I was like, I'm gonna, there were 2 instances of things that came up during the week that I wanted to have a little chat with you about, and if it's comical or if it's funny or if it's just this is a discussion or a point of view that someone had and we discuss it, there's a chance that someone out there is going, hey, we're doing that. Is that not how we do that? Let's fix that, right? If we can help one group at a time and also have a bit of fun doing it, it'll be great. So the first one is I took it from a social media platform. It was a person asking the community, do you have any idea how to deal with someone who takes all the treasures, even when he has full items, and 3 other players just started with new characters, but you can't sound like a crybaby? So how would you help this person? He's got one person in his group that's just looting everything and taking all the items, and there's a chest that he's taken it. And the starters, like if they're retired and they're creating new people, hey, where's ours, right? But they don't want to sound like they're whinging. Because in our group, we don't run into that issue, right? No. We're actually really, really helpful. Like, go, you go get that, you get this item, give it to that person, brew that person, a potion, whatever they need. But this sounds like someone who's maybe not aware that they're doing this.
Do you just not invite them one week so that everyone else can pick up the loot? And then when they come back to, Frosthaven's off, we're not playing this week. Oh, Billy's sick. Yeah, okay, no worries. Then you secretly play without the item hoarder, and then everyone just gets to loot heaps of stuff, and then they just play again next time and invite him back or her.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a level of awareness. I think that you should feel comfortable enough to tell the person that, hey, if we saw it, we would feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, Gaz, you've had enough. Your crab has every item in the game. Now, most of that is because when we find something, we're like, I don't want this. Do you want this? Let's give it to Gaz. But we would feel comfortable enough to say, hey, share, right? Ultimately share. It's a team environment. Someone needs something, let them have it.
I think as a serious answer, if you are having problems like this or even adjacent to this where it's hard to work out and, confront people, because it is tricky sometimes because you're playing a game, everyone's playing it for their own fun. And if somebody's like, yeah, power creep, I want to get all the items and stuff like that, and the person, it can be still awkward to be like, hey, do you mind not doing that because I want to have fun too, right? Which sounds obvious, but it can be an awkward conversation. I think the serious version of that is just to have a chat with the group and to say, hey, maybe when we come across an item, let's see which character it would work for better.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I know you can't do that with chess. You don't just get to open it up and say, who gets this? But like, if there are items that work well for other people, when you open them, we do that. We hand them around and everyone has a look and it's like, oh, this would be really good. Oh, this is garbage. This is garbage. This is garbage. Oh, wow, this would be great for you, Mark. Now, even though I might have picked it up, I'll be like, great, well, I'll sell this and then you can buy it. So therefore you're redistributing it, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably you have a general conversation about that rather than 3 people talking at one person, because that tends to not work in any situation.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully they come to the party.
Yeah, it will take a little bit of awareness, and I think awareness is probably one of the key words that I have. Whenever I play a board game with you guys, if it's TI, if it's Frosthaven, with a campaign we're having, anytime I'm setting up a game to include you guys and say, hey, let's all play this game, my number one goal is to make sure everyone's having a good time and having fun. That is always my number one goal. And we want to make sure that everyone's having a good, like, enjoying themselves. Otherwise, why are we playing, or why is that person playing if they're having a miserable time?
Yep.
And sometimes that comes down to game choice. It comes down to, you could easily remove someone from the game in Twilight Imperium if you're playing a very, very warfare inclined faction and you make your way over to your neighbor who's trying to build up his Arborek, whatever. And then stomp on his capital and be like, well, that's great. And what's part of the game? Get used to it. But if you're removing that person's fine, there's less of a chance that they're going to want to play it again. You're kind of booking your own play group, right? Yeah. It just, having a little bit of that awareness. And I think if you bring it up, be more curious on what the response would be. I think it's something that can be relatively easily fixed, I would say, in most groups. I think you just need to be honest.
Yep.
So one other thing happened during the week. And it was in the another social media platform, and it was a meteor player, and he was asking about the bottom of Hardened Spike, which was the card I was mentioning earlier. The top is a really good one, and the bottom is a move 3 and enhance your next attack this round. Now, this player was a little bit confused as to how one would pull off this bottom ability. Now, a guy called Dwarf74 answered. And it was discovered that this group had kind of reached a stage in the game in their campaign where they had unlocked the meteor. So they've progressed a fair chunk through the game with the rules of playing their 2 cards from top to bottom. So the first card you play the top action, the second card you play the bottom action. In other words, the bottom action is always the second ability you play on your turn, making this one quite useless because, it's enhancing your attack in the same round, which is on top. And Dwarf kind of was a bit confused and explained this. And it became a holy shit moment as they had been playing their whole campaign this way, which is mind-blowingly amazing that they got this far playing like that. Like, can you imagine you would always have to, you could never move first, which means you always have to be, if you're a melee person, you're adjacent to whatever you're hitting, which means you're willing to take a hit just because you're in the right position to hit something back. Heaven forbid they're ranged, and on their turn they move away, and the next minute you're like, well, damn, I want to hit it, but I can't. I could just move up to him, but I can't do that. That's the second part of my turn, right? I got to attack, which is then wasted. That is brutal. Yeah. We thought we were playing on hard mode. These guys are the keys of it.
This is Cthulhu mode, right? This is like you are going to lose all the time. I think, interestingly, though, when you think about it, actually removes pieces of the puzzle. So while the game would be harder, because that is a harder way of playing it, right? As you said, you're most likely going to get hit a lot more and you have nothing that you can do about it. Your decisions would be far, far less because you know that the first thing you have to do is attack and then you've got to move, right? Which is usually the top and a bottom. So, I mean, it just becomes like, I guess, simpler in an action economy, but you'd, I don't know, feel like, you were getting done by the game.
Yeah, and I very briefly went into the Frosthaven card viewing app, and I looked at the Geminate, and I was just like, I'm going to go through the Geminate level 1 cards, and I picked a starter. And I was like, how many abilities would this affect from a triggering point of view? Because this is the only card I could find where it was like move, and then this round, all your attacks do this, which is the tweaking moment. And I actually couldn't find anything, at least just from a quick glance of some of the Geminate cards. And I'm like, some of maybe the Drifter cards and all of that. It's taken to this card at this stage in their campaign before they got it. And I thought that was pretty amazing, actually, that I thought there would be more cards out there that would be ruined because you couldn't use them properly.
Well, most of the Banner Spear.
Is it?
Well, they're all formations, which you need to, you generally move into the position you want to do. You don't start your turn with everyone perfectly aligned exactly where they need to be.
That's how they had to do it, Gaz. They had to pre-plan a turn in advance to get their formation off, knowing they couldn't move.
You know what that group would have like seen as just the ultimate card? Anything with a top move. Like,
Blink Blade would have been
normally
going
anything with a
nuts.
top move is good, right? Because it's
Yeah.
usually a top move and an attack of some sort. So you're like, you can get that a little bit further and you can do some weird shenanigans with play not move bottoms and blah, blah, blah. But like that would have been premium. Like
Yeah.
I've got a class that has a top move. I can move and attack.
Yeah. Blink Blade would have
Like,
been even more broken.
oh, totally. Yeah. So interesting. And all, I did see the same social media item that you're talking about, and it was they took it really well.
Oh
And
yeah.
people were pretty civil. I think it's like people just must have instead of going, and which is great, instead of going down the oh my god you're so stupid, it was more oh my god
Amazement. It was
good
amazement.
job getting this
Yeah.
far into the game. Like, that's incredible. Enjoy the rest of Frosthaven, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Enjoy
it
it
seemed to
easier
be.
now.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was an interesting one to see.
All right, I'm going to throw one more thing out there. This one's exciting. Okay, so Detty every now and then helps Isaac with game design. Okay, I don't know if you're aware of this. Every now and then he comes up with a really, really good idea that just changes the game in some really amazing way. And while I was driving to work the other day, light bulb moment. I was like, oh my God, please do this for a future game. We've already got, and this is a spoiler that we've obviously know about because we've got the pets. We've got the pet system currently. Can you imagine if at the beginning of a scenario, you pick a pet, you get a standee, and it goes on the board? You now have a pet ally, right? That actually has a move 2, attack 2, or something like Ormi, all right? It's running around like Ormi. And it has a one-off ability, right? It has a one-off ability the same way it does, the same way you see on the actual pet card. But now the pets are with you in person, right? Running around the board and doing whatever. Now, you could obviously throw in a one-off thing where one person can grant movement to make it go in a direction at once. Otherwise, it's on auto mode. And if you lose your pet, the pet's dead. You have to catch a new one.
Oh, okay.
Right? But yeah, bring the pets to life, almost Pokemon style. And actually having, when we randomize our pets when we go into a scenario, but pick one and you got to look after it like Ormi to any given scenario. And it's got its ability. Hell, you could even change the stats, right? And they're just an ally to you. No one controls them and they're in the scenario with you.
It would
2.0.
definitely make pets substantially harder to use. So, if you buff the crap out of the abilities or gave them more constant abilities, I can see that being fun.
What are you talking about? You don't have to bring them, right? Well, there has to be a reward for bringing them, right? Getting through with it. But I'm thinking of Ormi. Ormi is literally a vanilla 10 health, move 2, attack 2. So they don't need to be OP. It's just they have their ability and they're like Pikachu running around by your side.
Yeah, but if they're not doing anything, you're not going to bring them like, hey, I'm going to bring this extra thing that's a pain in the ass to catch and then bring it into the scenario, but it doesn't do anything.
Oh, so good.
It's got to have something. So yeah. I mean, like it kind of like is a group summon, right? For a group or a party that isn't using summons, it's like we're going to bring one.
I think it'll also work really well for us. Because I want to be able to say, Weedy, no, don't go over there. Where you going? Come back. And then, use a pull ability, bring him over, and then watch Weedy run off and do something else. Yes. And it's just, I think it'll be phenomenal.
Yeah. And then the first cannon gun thing aims and shoots a triangle square and just nukes Pikachu. And you're like, Weedy, no.
Yeah. But I think it'll bring the pets to life in ways that they're at life now, but I think it'll be a really cool way of bringing them in.
You know what? Like the design kind of process, that could have been a way that they did it, right? I'm sure they went through a lot of different iterations of how to do these things. And like, hey, what happened if we put these pets in there? And then you play with it a little bit and it doesn't work. It's too clunky. They change it to be something else because they introduce a different thing. Who knows,
changed it to Ormi and made it an event.
Maybe that is. Who knows? But that's why. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pitch that one as well. It keeps going to his spam folder, but I'm hoping if I keep going, it's gonna get there and he'll be like, you know what? I need you here to plan this out with me. Come to my house tomorrow. And I'll be like, oh, and he'll be like, tomorrow.
It's buckets, mate. Like once you fill up his spam folder, then it has to overflow into his normal inbox. That's how it works.
Into his urgent box.
Yeah, he's urgent. Yeah, that's it. But I don't think his black helicopter has enough fuel to get out to Australia, so you
No,
might
we're
have to meet
safe.
him halfway. Yeah.
We're completely safe from asking dumb rules questions. It's great. Well, we will wrap it up there. Thank you again for tuning to amDirt episode 55. We'll be back next week where we will probably either PQ with Phil or finish off a bunch of robots or ally with them. Who knows?
We're 100% doing robots, aren't we? Like, why would we go this far to not do the final scenario?
Vaguely, I'm wondering whether or not it's a force link. I think it might be. I think it's actually a force link. Is it? Are we booking ourselves on the beginning of this as well?
Really pious. Like, I think we need to go donate to the church.
Okay. Crane's really going to be really shitty with you, by the way. Crane's just like, we're right there.
Oh, actually, hang on. Something we completely didn't talk about. I know we're wrapping up, so I won't go into it. Maybe I'll talk about it next week. I did my solo scenario for the Banner Spear.
Oh, that's right. I was actually, when you mentioned you were a few XP off, I was going to mention, oh, that's right. That's how we got the extra XP. Because once the scenario, the thing finished, we went and did it. Yeah,
so I'll talk more about it next week. Like, I'll save that. But that was really interesting. It was a kind of cool design. I liked the thematics of it.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little bit easy, but it might have been because I was really high level. But yeah, I got that. I also got the extra XP I needed. So I hit level 9. Yay.
Yeah, good work. Yeah, it's level 9.
I'm not going to talk about it at all, but I'm very, very excited about my choice of card at level 9.
Oh, I've got a video of you talking about it as well. I might chuck that in our Discord.
Yeah. Maybe let me watch that first.
Okay, I will.
All right.
Thank you. I've been Detty. You've been Gaz, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
Still. Yep. Yep. So, and remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the wrist.